After many weeks of wondering what happened to Nathan Millard, the Georgia man who came to Louisiana on a business trip and vanished. We have the answers to some of those questions. Not all of them, but some of them. Nathan Millard came from Georgia to Baton Rouge, Louisiana on February 22nd for a business meeting. Comes to town. He's in Baton Rouge. He goes to an LSU game. He meets with the client. They go to a bar or two. The bartender said that he got so intoxicated that he refused to serve him anymore. So we understand that he's pretty drunk, right? So he left the bar, and it was thought that he was going back to his hotel room, which was just 3 blocks away. But he never makes it back to his hotel room. But that is not learned until the next morning when he doesn't make the business appointment, the meeting that he had the next morning. So a missing persons report is filed, and the public is on high alert because it's a man. We're, accustomed to women being abducted and that kind of thing. But when it's a full-grown adult male, you don't understand that. And so I thought, he probably got carjacked. But then you find out he was walking and the hotel was only 3 blocks away. Then the Baton Rouge Police Department said, we don't believe there's any foul play. And I'm thinking, no foul play? How? How do you know there's no foul play? And I understand that they can't release all of the details and the evidence when they're in an active investigation. But every chance they got, through social media, print, press conferences, they kept reiterating no foul play. But when they released this one detail is when I knew why they said they didn't believe there was any foul play. When they said there's footage of him at the Greyhound bus station on Florida Boulevard, I knew then, oh, okay, I understand now why they believe there's no foul play. The Greyhound bus station on Florida Boulevard is notorious for drugs, prostitution, crime. To make a long story short, Nathan Millard's body was found wrapped in plastic and carpet behind an abandoned funeral home about 11 or 12 days later. So, it's bad. The affidavits detail the last 24 hours of his life. And that's where it kind of ended right there. So, the start of it was bad because of where it ended. So when they said the Greyhound bus station, I thought, well, earlier in the night, it was reported that he was at an LSU basketball game. LSU played Vanderbilt. If he was at the Pete Maravich Center, there's all sorts of ATMs all around that building. If he was downtown, ATMs everywhere. He could have gone back to the Marriott, ATMs in the lobby. For him to walk over a mile, to go out of his way to get to the Greyhound bus station, I can only think that that was intentional. His family stated a few weeks later that he had a history of addiction. And addicts behave as addicts do. No judgment. This is the face of addiction. This man was in town on a business trip and wanted to get high. So he walks from downtown to the Greyhound bus station where he, apparently understands he can score drugs, right? And he meets a person on the way or someplace downtown. They walk there together. He gets the money. They go back up to the underpass where, there's a homeless community right there, and meets with 2 other strangers. They call Derrick Perkins. He picks him up. And for the next few hours, according to the affidavit, they ride around Baton Rouge getting high. until they make it over, to Derrick Perkins' hood, and they ditch the two people that they met under the interstate because he wants to go back to a home, although he had a hotel room at the Marriott where it was quote unquote safe. And he wanted not the black girl that was with them, but he wanted a white girl. And so somehow, some way, during the course of the night, they ditch them. They get two white girl prostitutes, and they are at a home on Washington, Derrick Perkins' home, getting high. And he ODs on something. The toxicology report hasn't been released, so it's unclear if it was fentanyl, if it was heroin. Who knows what it was? But Derrick Perkins is sitting in jail right now. And he should be. Because allegedly he drove around with this man's body in the trunk of his car for a couple of days. Now, in the affidavit, he said that he didn't know what to do and that he felt bad, which is why he dumped his body behind an abandoned funeral home. So he's in jail. He's charged with illegally disposing of his body, obstruction of justice, failure to seek assistance. And remember, they were riding around Baton Rouge for a couple of hours smoking crack. And the car that they were riding around in was a car that Derrick Perkins took off of somebody earlier in the month, very early in February. Somebody wanted some drugs and they didn't have the money, so they rented the car, and he never returned the car. Now what's crazy is that how you call yourself a drug dealer and you don't even have a car? How you call yourself a drug dealer and you don't even have the drugs? Because in the affidavit, they were riding around looking for drugs. They had to go buy more drugs. Well, I thought he was the dope man. You see the silliness, the stupidity, the tragedy of all of this. All of these people were addicts. They were addicts. So I guess Derrick Perkins, gave himself, he leveled up by calling himself a drug dealer. But in reality, it looks like all he was an addict as well. Yesterday, warrants were issued for the two white prostitutes that were there. One of them was arrested this morning, Tiffany Guidry, a 27-year-old white female, and they're still looking for Tabitha Barber, a 33-year-old white female. Now the question is, who is going to be responsible for his death? That's a tricky question here. I think all of them are responsible for what happened to him after he died, but his death, I don't think they are responsible for that because he intentionally sought them out. He intentionally did the drugs. The Baton Rouge Police Department has already put it out there. They have already stated that. There are cases where the person, the drug dealer, who has supplied the addict with the drugs, that they can be charged with their death. And I get it. I know that there is a need to deter drug dealers from dealing drugs and addicts from using drugs, but I just don't believe that Mr. Millard's death is Derrick Perkins' fault, or that it's the fault of the two white prostitutes. I think that he willingly sought them out to do drugs and to have sex. And I'm not blaming him for his own death, but his addiction controlled him that night. And as a result, he lost his life. And you can interchange, the three people that were there, and you can put three other people there. at the end of the day, it's the choices that he made that cost him his life. I don't think it is anybody's fault. I don't think it's Tiffany Guidry's fault, Tabitha Barber's fault, or Derrick Perkins' fault. Now, what happened after that? Yeah, they have to pay for that, but not his death. Again, condolences to his family. I know that if you have a family member, a husband, a father, a sister, or whatever, that are dealing with addiction, that's always your worst nightmare, is that you're going to wake up one day or you're going to get a knock at the door and, this is going to happen. But according to the affidavit, he went out of his way to find people who could find drugs for him and prostitutes. But the three of them most certainly should do some time for not simply calling 911 when he overdosed. 911. It was simple. And then to ride around for a couple of days with a dead body in the trunk of a car until it stunk so bad that he got rid of the car. And for the three of them, for the next 11 or 12 days, to pretend like nothing happened, not even call to the Crime Stoppers and give a tip or anything. But what's crazy is that there is some information out there about a plot to cash in on some Crime Stopper money. But because I can't verify it, I won't speak too much on that. But I'll update you as I find out, exactly what happened there. So go ahead and like this video, click the notifications bell, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you later on tonight or tomorrow as the rest of this case develops.